At 72, Pierce Brosnan finally found the courage to speak openly and with rare emotional honesty about the long, winding road that shaped his life, his extraordinary career, and the quiet, deeply personal truths he had carried for decades about his friendship with the late Robin Williams, a bond formed during the making of Mrs. Doubtfire, and one that Brosnan still remembers with enduring affection, gentle gratitude, and profound respect. Long before fame, red carpets, and global recognition ever found him, Pierce Brendan Brosnan was born on May 16, 1953, in the small Irish town of Navan in County Meath, and from the very beginning, his childhood was already defined by separation, isolation, and an emotional distance that would quietly follow him into adulthood. From his earliest days, his world was shaped more by what was missing than by what was present, as his father walked away while he was still an infant, and his mother left for London to train as a nurse, leaving young Pierce behind to be raised by relatives and later placed in a strict boarding house environment that demanded resilience, emotional restraint, and self-reliance far earlier than most children are ever forced to learn. Everything began to change in a gentle but unforgettable way when he was reunited with his mother in London at the age of 11, opening the door to an entirely new world filled with art, cinema, imagination, and possibility. And in one defining moment, watching a fire eater perform beneath the lights of a circus, his fascination with performance was suddenly ignited, planting a quiet spark that would silently guide the course of his future. Naturally shy, yet deeply observant of the people and emotions around him, Brosnan soon learned to channel that curiosity into formal training at Drama Centre London, where his emerging confidence, emotional intelligence, and classical discipline quickly set him apart from his classmates and led to early recognition in the 1980s through Remington Steele, the role that introduced him to the world as a modern, charming gentleman hero long before James Bond ever entered his story. The true turning point in his life and career finally arrived in 1995 when his rise to global superstardom came with GoldenEye, making him the fifth actor to step into the legendary role of 007 and allowing him to blend elegance, lethal confidence, and unexpected emotional vulnerability in a way that revived the franchise and reshaped Bond for a new generation through films such as Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, and Die Another Day. Away from the powerful shadow of Bond, Brosnan repeatedly and deliberately challenged expectations by embracing raw dramatic intensity in The Matador, romantic sophistication in The Thomas Crown Affair, and joyful musical warmth in Mamma Mia, before later proving his remarkable versatility in projects such as The Misfits, False Positive, Black Adam as Dr. Fate, The Outlaws, Fast Charlie, and The Thursday Murder Club, quietly demonstrating that reinvention rather than nostalgia was the true engine behind his enduring relevance. Yet behind every professional milestone, public triumph, and celebrated performance, his private life carried a deeper and lasting weight than any role he ever played, especially his marriage to actress Cassandra Harris, whom he married in 1980, and whose love became the steady emotional anchor that held him together through the most formative, uncertain, and fragile years of his life. In a decision that quietly revealed the true depth of his heart, he didn't simply step into her life, he fully embraced her two children as his own, built a powerful, creative, and emotional bond with her, and stayed unshakably by her side through her long, painful battle with ovarian cancer, standing with her through every fragile moment until she passed away in 1991, a loss that shattered him and permanently reshaped the way he understood love, mortality, and compassion.
Then, almost a decade later, when grief had softened into memory but never truly faded, a new and unexpected chapter slowly opened when he found fresh hope and emotional balance with journalist and activist Keely Shea Smith, whose warmth, steadiness, and quiet strength helped him rebuild a life centered once again on family, purpose, and gratitude. Together, they went on to raise 2 sons and form a marriage widely admired not for spectacle, but for its sincerity, gentleness, and emotional honesty, a rare example of quiet devotion in a world that so often overlooks it. It was from this calmer, wiser, and more grounded place in his life that Pierce Brosnan finally chose to speak openly about Robin Williams, looking back on their time filming Mrs. Doubtfire not as just another acting job, but as a deeply personal and unforgettable human connection that stayed with him long after the cameras stopped rolling. To Brosnan, Williams was pure lightning, an unrepeatable, once-in-a-generation force whose wild, fearless improvisational genius was matched only by his humility, generosity, and extraordinary emotional depth. He was the kind of person who could flood an entire room with laughter in seconds, and then just as easily slip into moments of soft gentleness that quietly revealed an unspoken ache beneath the joy. What stayed with Brosnan most was not only Williams' brilliance, but the way he treated everyone on set with the same warmth and respect, from the youngest child actors to the quietest, often unseen crew members, and how he infused comedy with vulnerability, reminding those around him that laughter, for Robin, was never just entertainment, but a way of easing pain and healing others. And when Williams died in 2014, the impact struck Brosnan with an almost physical force, as if a light had suddenly gone out in the world, leaving him struggling to understand how someone who gave so much happiness could carry such deep and carefully hidden pain. Today, when he reflects on that loss, he speaks not with speculation or rumor, but with humility and deep respect, recognizing that Williams gave more of himself than most people ever could, and that his legacy now lives far beyond unforgettable performances, surviving in the humanity he offered so freely to everyone who crossed his path. Now at 72, Pierce Brosnan looks back with gratitude, heartbreak, and rare clarity, honoring Robin Williams not only as a brilliant artist, but one of the finest men he ever knew, holding firmly to the belief that the world became immeasurably better because Robin Williams lived, laughed, and loved with such fearless intensity.